Hi, I'm Kristi Davis, MetroTex Forms and Contracts. Today I have Charles Kramer joining us, the co-chair of the Broker Lawyer Committee, of Counsel for Republic Title, and a practicing attorney to discuss tips and tricks on the TREC revised contracts that will be mandatory as of April 1, 2021. All right, Charles, let's talk about the fixture lease addendum now.
Okay, so that relates to box B. If you're checking in paragraph 4, if you say there is a fixture lease, then you have to check box 4. What is a fixture? A fixture is something that is permanently attached to the real estate. That's what a fixture is. So a fixture lease is something that's permanently attached to the real estate and that the seller does not own. They're leasing. And so I want most people to think solar panels. In fact, solar panels is what was driving this entire change. And so that's the most common thing. But you could have a water softener that is leased. You could have a security system that is leased. You could even have a propane tank in certain jurisdictions. You don't see that much in the DFW area, but that's possible. So it accounts for all of these things. So if you have a fixture to your property that you're leasing, you have to disclose that by checking this box B, and then you go to this addendum regarding residential leases here that I'm going to cheat off of. This works a little bit differently than the residential lease addendum because it has kind of a default position. It basically says that unless you fill in this blank with the lease that you are rejecting as a buyer and you're not going to assume it, you are going to assume this fixture lease. So it starts it in the assumption positive mode. So it's very important that everyone read this and understand it. So box A1 says buyer shall assume and seller shall assign to buyer the fixture leases at closing except the following. And there's a big long blank, and that's where you fill it in with what you're not going to assume. It's a rejection of the lease. So that's the first thing agents need to know, that they need to decide and talk with their clients about what that's going to be. And that may be practically kind of a challenge because if you think about it as a buyer, well, I haven't seen the lease. I don't know what it says. How can I agree to do it or not do it? And I guess there's a little bit of faith, and you've got you have a duty by the seller to deliver those leases. So one, you probably have an option period in which you can figure out. And if you decide, look, this is not a good deal, you can use your option period to renegotiate. But this addendum also has a similar thing as the residential lease addendum, where it says if you haven't delivered a copy of that fixture lease to the buyer before they sign the contract, you will do so, and they're given another window of time, like another option period. So they have 7 days to renegotiate. So although it feels like you're being forced to make a decision on assuming or not assuming the lease blind, this contract gives you time to review this lease and renegotiate or kill the deal if it's something that you don't want to do. So nobody's trapped into assumption.
Makes good sense. And again, it goes back to that whole thing of timelines. We're adding additional timelines that buyers and sellers, and then obviously their respective agents, need to be mindful of to make sure that they're staying within those guidelines, within those timeframes to terminate, to deliver these fixture leases, and be able to be informed well to make those wise decisions.
And here's the tricky part, and I'm sorry they're not all the same, and I don't have a really ready explanation of why, but there are different timelines for different things. So the timelines for acting under a residential lease are different than the timelines for acting under a fixture lease. And you just have to read the document and pay attention to your timelines and call your favorite attorney for help if you need help interpreting or reading any of this stuff. We will certainly help you.
Absolutely. So again, just to be mindful, I think you said this a moment ago, that the Broker Lawyer Committee really began to look at this 10 years ago, and it was really a result of the solar panel condition.
That really accelerated it because the solar panel leases, many of them are very unfair to the tenant or the homeowner. I have seen some of these leases that do not allow you to remove the solar panels. And by the way, this addendum has that choice. So if there are choices, and you can fix up the addendum so that not only is the lease not assumed by the buyer, but you put a duty on the seller to remove that stuff from the roof. Well, again, there's a warning in there. Don't agree to do something in your contract if your lease doesn't let you do it. So you may have to study your lease. You may have to take your lease to an attorney to have it reviewed and say, can I agree to remove the solar panels? Because some leases don't let you. It just depends on what it says. And although this is confusing and complicated and it's a lot of work, I can't tell you how much better it is to have some sort of roadmap to follow than we currently have, which is agents have to fly by the seat of their pants and get attorneys involved to help them negotiate what they're going to do with this lease, because there's just no guidance presently.
Definitely. I couldn't agree with you more. And also allowing the listing agent to ask questions of their seller up front.
Yes.
I see solar panels. Let's talk.
Did you buy those? What's the deal?
Let's talk here.
Yes.
Really, really important. Again, I think I've said this and I continue to say it. It's communication. Communication is key in regards to, one, working with a buyer and working with your seller to understand what their desires are, what they own, what they don't own.
Exactly.
Finding those comments out firsthand so that you have the information to, like you said, shore up any loopholes for a buyer to terminate the contract.
You make a great point, Kristi, in knowing what your seller owns, what they don't own, what they lease. For example, if you have a solar panel system and it's on the roof and you talk to your seller, this is all before you've received an offer. You're getting ready to market the property and they say, this is under a lease. It will take about $12,000 to retire this lease and kill it. That's about the amount of the fee. You can, as a listing agent, say, well, let's maybe build that into the price because we know that's gonna be expected in order to get rid of this house and sell it. So let's see if we can get you that money as part of the price. In this kind of market, I think we can raise that sales price and get you that money to retire the lease and not have this be an issue. So it's so important to communicate and raise these issues and discuss them before putting that property on the market.
100% in all respects. And this one just gives, like you said, a roadmap and a talking point for our listing agents when they're interacting and communicating with their clients. Thank you so much for wrapping up the fixture addendum, Charles. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us. Please make sure to check out our YouTube channel for more contract tips and tricks and other videos to assist you in your business.